They're 40-year-olds. They're not young royals.
Well, and
they're different now. The vibe is different. The whole mood and shift will now go on to George, Charlotte and Louis. And they will become really, frankly, bit part players. Now, they won't like that. And that's probably what this is all about, making sure they've got a presence, a brand to monetize, because pretty soon they're going to be really so far removed from the main game that they're not going to be able to get as much money out of being royals.
I think Valentine Lowe wrote that in his book, didn't he? Or I seem to remember Val writing about saying that Harry did have fears that he might, become irrelevant into his 50s. And, they're making a huge noise at the moment.
Yeah.
But he undoubtedly will. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince that, a gentleman, someone formerly known as Prince. That's what he will be. I mean, and that will be not the same as they talk about, he's got an appeal with the younger generation. Well, they'll be thinking, who is this guy? They won't even know who he is.
Let's dive straight into it, because Rob Jobson didn't just speak. He detonated a truth bomb and walked away like it was a casual Tuesday. And honestly, the timing couldn't be more perfect. Every time the royal narrative shifts forward, certain people in Montecito start shifting around like their meditation cushions suddenly sprouted thorns. Because the truth, the raw, unsweetened truth, is that the royal story has entered a new season. And Harry, Meghan, they're no longer the stars. They're not even the special guest stars. They're the characters who show up in season 4, cause chaos, and then disappear into reruns nobody watches anymore. Rob Jobson called it exactly as it is. Harry and Meghan are not young royals. Not fresh, not new, not the hot draw. They're 40-year-olds fighting to keep a spotlight that's already sliding away from them like a stage light with better things to do. And the new spotlight? Squarely, gloriously landing on George, Charlotte, and Louis. That's the shift. That's the energy. That's the story everyone is watching. And guess what? Harry and Meghan hate it. Oh, they'll never admit it, but you can feel it. That panicked scramble every time the Wales kids appear. Oh, suddenly there's a new announcement, a new project, a new wellness thing, something about authenticity or healing or finding their inner whatever. Because underneath the PR glitter is pure fear. Fear of being irrelevant. Fear of being forgotten. Fear of becoming exactly what Jobson said out loud, a pair of bit part players clinging to a brand that's losing value every time the monarchy moves forward. And Harry? Oh, he feels it the most. Valentine Lowe exposed it ages ago. Harry is terrified, absolutely terrified, of becoming irrelevant in his 50s. But Jobson? He sharpened it. He refined it. He said he will be irrelevant. Not maybe, not possibly, will. Then he twisted the knife with that savage line. He'll be a bald 50-year-old prince, someone formerly known as Prince. Oh my God. That line belongs in a museum of royal commentary. It was unnecessary and completely necessary at the same time. Because here's the thing, Harry didn't just leave the royal family. He left the only system where he mattered on a global historical level. Yes, he's famous in America, but famous for what? Being Diana's son, being William's brother, being the guy who left, being the guy who complained, being the guy who wrote a book that made the entire world collectively blink and say, "You put that in print?" But he has zero foundation now, no institution behind him, no royal duty, no role, just vibes, interviews, and the hope that someone still wants to hear him talk about his healing journey. Meanwhile, the monarchy is moving forward like an unstoppable train. George with growing confidence, Charlotte with poise that could outshine half the adult royals in Europe, Louis being the nation's favorite scene stealer. These kids are the story. Not Harry, not Meghan, not their podcast, not their next visionary project. And Jobson knew it. He didn't just predict the future, he narrated the present. Because right now, Harry and Meghan's brand depends entirely on their connection to a monarchy they no longer belong to and no longer respect. Once George hits adulthood, that connection weakens. Once Charlotte steps into major royal roles, the relevance slides further. Once Louis becomes the charismatic wild card of the monarchy, Harry and Meghan vanish into the background. The public will shift naturally to the heirs of the future because that's where the continuity, the legitimacy, the interest always goes. Harry and Meghan are trying to outrun time, trying to stretch their relevance like an elastic band on its last thread. But here's the cruel twist. You cannot monetize a royal identity when your replacement generation is already being introduced to the world with grace and charm that you can't compete with. Harry's fame has an expiration date. Meghan's royal allure has an expiration date. Their brand has an expiration date, stamped in bold letters the moment they walked away. And they know it. You can see it in the staged red carpets, the polished camera-ready entrances, the surprise appearances, the desperate rhythm of keeping their name circulating. Jobson said the thing out loud. They're trying to monetize a brand before it expires. It's harsh, but it's true. Because eventually, the world will stop asking, "What's Harry doing now?" and start asking, "Wait, who is he again?" The younger generation won't know him unless someone explains. The older generation will grow tired of him. The middle generation will have moved on to the actual future royals. Meanwhile, the Wales kids will carry the monarchy's next chapter with natural ease, while Harry becomes a cautionary tale of what happens when you burn the only bridge that made you historically relevant. There's something almost Shakespearean about it. A prince running from his destiny, only to find out the world stops caring the moment he stops being part of it. A man trying to reinvent himself, only to discover that the reinvention doesn't sell nearly as well as the royalty he abandoned. It's tragic, ironic, and honestly, predictable. Because Harry didn't just lose his place, he lost the momentum of history. And when that momentum shifts, as it has, there's no catching it again. Not with documentaries, not with interviews, not with books, not with podcasts about living your truth. So yes, Jobson spoke the harsh truth. Harry will fade. Meghan will fade. The royal future will rise without them. And the California noise will be drowned out by the quiet, dignified evolution of the monarchy. Harry isn't afraid of criticism. He's afraid of irrelevance. And that's exactly where the tide is pulling him. Somewhere in Montecito, he's probably staring into the distance right now, wondering how the story slipped away from him so quickly. Meanwhile, the monarchy keeps moving, steady, dignified, and utterly unbothered.